More growing pains for the A's. That's next on Curveballs and Changeups, a baseball podcast straight out of Sacramento. I'm Steve Harmon, and this is a podcast for A's fans and baseball fans in general. No straight fastballs here, folks. Just a bunch of off-speed pitches to keep the hitters off balance. Maybe a few cutters and some riding heat just to keep you honest. I played the game. I once hit a grand slam home run in an over 30 baseball league. Sure, it was off a 46-year-old airline pilot, and the wind was blowing out, but I got a good swing on it and sent it over the tall left field fence 360 feet away. I covered the Bash Brother A's as a sports writer in the 1980s and early 90s. I've been a baseball fan since 1967 when the kid down the block introduced me and my brothers to the game. My podcast tries to fill gaps that may be left out on other platforms. But also, I want to be sure that we don't let the season get away from us. We should stop for a moment and look around, allow what just happened sink in a bit, make sure we don't forget some of the high notes and some of the low ones too, before we move along too quickly onto the next game and the next. A note, I've decided to split up my analyses of the A's and the Giants, so A's fans don't have to wade through all of the material that I have on the Giants and vice versa. You can find both podcasts wherever you can find them on all of the different platforms. My thoughts today are on how the A's must be feeling after losing another series at home. They just got done with a homestand with some closely fought games against two tough National League teams, but still lost 4 out of 6 to the San Diego Padres and the New York Mets. A much better showing than their first stint in their new Sacramento digs when the Cubs swept them 3 straight, really humiliated them in their first stand at home. But still, they've lost 7 of 9 at their adopted home park. And you have to wonder how much of a burden it'll be for them to play half of their season in a park that has to seem depressing to a major leaguer who thought he left the minor leagues in the rearview mirror. It's a young team going through growing pains, and it's made all the more awkward by playing in a AAA ballpark in a foreign city that hasn't embraced them yet. They know the fans know that the A's are scheduled to be gone after the 2027 season. It's a short-term rental. It's a cruel placeholder status. There's no way to build that identity with your team when you know it's going. Sacramento was picked as a site partly because they knew a base of A's fans existed from the 15 years the A's had a AAA team here. But those same fans remember when the Giants were handed the AAA franchise here, evicting them, the A's, in 2016. They also know the bitter fight that resulted in the A's turning to Sacramento for refuge. Sacramento A's fans are not unconnected to the emotional despair of Oakland fans. Many Sacramento baseball fans probably feel exploited. The A's refusal to have Sacramento in their team name is insulting and has driven home the awkwardness of their rental status. More and more you're seeing off-brand t-shirts shouting Sacramento A's, but there are no such MLB licensed shirts. Even on Baseball Reference and other baseball websites, they're referred to only as the Athletics, no hometown attached. So how are Sacramento fans supposed to feel connected? You can see it in the crowds. At least half of the fans who show up are rooting for the visiting team, all decked out in the colors of the Cubs, Padres, and Mets. And the novelty of having a major league team wore off almost immediately. The home opener wasn't even a sellout. About 2,000 of the 14,000 fans were comp tickets. After that, the A's have hovered mostly around 10,000 in each of their home games. Maybe better than that, what they drew in Oakland for some of their home dates, but 10,000 isn't that impressive by those standards when half of those fans are the visitors. They were featured last week on the Twitter site @EmptySeatsPics, showing a photo of a lot of empty seats during Saturday's game with the Mets. One fan wrote, quote, "Sacramento is in a no-win situation. If fans attend, we're hypocrites and sold our soul to John Fisher, the owner of the A's. If fans don't show, Sacramento is a minor league town that can't support MLB." I'm sure that this will have a rough effect on the A's players, especially as they fight through their awkward phase of growing up as a young team. Over time, you have to wonder if players will feel the weight of defeat even more acutely in a park of indifferent crowds. So these thoughts and others crept in my head as I watched the A's compete but lose to the Mets 7-6 in their Friday series opener, and again as they got shut out in the series finale 8-0. Though listening to the Mets radio broadcasters, I thought their perspective was a bit refreshing. They were actually taken in by the charm. One of them said, quote, "I don't know, I love it. It has the spring training intimacy with the feel of a big league game." That's for a person who gets to, hang around for 3 days and is gone back into the big league scene after that. They did have a laugh over how two potential pinch hitters for the Mets had to jog out to the clubhouse beyond the left center field fence between innings to take swings in the batting cage. And then they had to wait for the inning to be over to come back. All right, so I do want to hit some of the high notes here. Saturday, the A's did win 3-1 over the Mets. A real nice, clean game, and you can mark that up to what J.T. Ginn did in his return from AAA Nashville. What a nice job. He did not look like a pitcher who has a 5.57 ERA in AA and AAA ball in his career. That was over 171 innings. He looked more like the pitcher who struck out 19 in 11 innings this year at Nashville after not making the season opening roster. So he had something to prove, obviously. On this day, he had a nasty sinker with so much movement boring in on the hands of the Mets hitters. And I was most intrigued by the way he went after the Mets' best hitter, Pete Alonso. Struck him out twice, exploded his bat another time on one of those sinkers just boring in on his hands. That was in his final at bat, and that was just impressive. Pete Alonso had to be just wondering how that ball got in so fast on him. And those may have been the roughest at-bats he's had all year. Mets broadcasters reminded fans that Ginn was a second-round Mets draft pick in 2020 out of Mississippi State for a $2.8 million bonus. And so he pitched in the Mets organization for 2 seasons before they dealt him to the A's in the Chris Bassett deal. He was always known as a ground ball sinker baller, but in his 2 starts in Nashville before being called up, he had 19 strikeouts in those 11 innings. And Saturday, he showed how. He had 6 strikeouts against the Mets. His heavy sinker was so dangerous, he got a swing that injured Jose Siri. He fouled off one of those tailing sinkers into his shin, was on the ground writhing, had to be taken out with a deep contusion. Now, the first test he really faced was in the 3rd inning of that game on Saturday. He walked Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto with 1 out. And then he won a 10-pitch battle with Pete Alonso. He mixed cutters away and sinkers in. Alonso gave up a fight, fouling off pitch after pitch. Finally, on a 3-2 pitch, Ginn threw a 94-mile-an-hour sinker that just rode crazily under his hands for the strikeout. And then he got a first-pitch ground out to strand the runners. And then the A's, in the bottom of the 4th inning, got him a 2-0 lead. So he was able to work with a little bit of rope there. One of the few mistakes he made was right after that in the top of the 5th. On an 0-2 pitch to the number 9 hitter, the catcher Senger got a base hit to left on a fastball down the middle. And the next hitter, Francisco Lindor, worked the count to 3-2, but again got him to bounce up the middle. It should have been a double play, but shortstop Jacob Wilson rushed his throw after making the tag at second and bounced it, Lindor reaching on the fielder's choice. But then Soto grounded out, and then Alonso came up with a runner on second base. That's when Ginn blew up his bat with a 94 on the hands for a grounder to end the inning. When I say blow up, I mean that ball, the bat was in many splinters up on the infield grass. Ginn was gone after giving up a home run to Nimmo in the 6th, though Kotze allowed him to stay one more batter after that homer, and he struck out Marte. His stuff still explosive on pitch number 89. Going back to that 2-run rally that the A's had in the 4th, Jacob Wilson extended his hitting streak to 15 games, 16 overs, 2 seasons, with a bouncer down the first base line that he stretched into a double, advanced to 3rd on a fly ball, and then that drew in the infield. And then Tyler Soderstrom hit a bullet up the middle for his run batted in, his team-leading 11th. And that ball would have probably been a base hit no matter what. Although, if you're playing the infield back with Soderstrom up, the shortstop may have been pulled over the middle and might have had a play on that. So the fact that they had gotten the runner to 3rd base opened things up for Soderstrom on that hit. Then base hits by Shea Langoliers and Miguel Andujar loaded the bases. His ball hit so hard that Soderstrom could not score. And then a ground ball by J.J. Bleday scored the second run. It was just a bouncer to the right side, but it was good enough to get a run. The Mets second baseman Brett Beatty slipped as he was about to try to throw to second base for the force, but there was no way he was going to get a double play, and the run was going to score either way. As TV colorman Steve Sachs said on the show after the game, nothing good comes from a strikeout. Put it in play and see what happens. And then the A's got an insurance run in the seventh inning. Max Muncy hit a bullet to left field. He's done this a few times. He's shown tremendous line drive power to left field. This time it got over the left fielder's head and hit the base of the wall, but it was hit so hard that he only got a base hit, a single. But he then scored from first when catcher Johnny Paredes lined a double down the line in left field, his first RBI of the year. That was a big insurance run for the A's, and the bullpen was able to hold on over the final 3 2/3 with Justin Sterner going 1 2/3. Tyler Ferguson 1 inning no hits, and Mason Miller came in for the save. Although it got a little bit dicey on a foul ball with a runner on first base. I think it was Torrens, the catcher, pinch hitting. Hit a bullet to right field down the line, and it just curled foul just past the foul pole, and it was maybe 3 or 4 feet away from tying the game on a home run. But he was able to dodge that and get out of the inning. He was that line drive that Torrens hit was on a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. So it's pretty impressive that hitters can get around on that. Just to see them make contact like that was pretty impressive. Now the 3 relievers I just talked about, Sterner, Ferguson, and Mason Miller, they have done so good this year. They've given up only 1 earned run in 18 innings. But the fact that they were used on Saturday meant they were not available in Sunday's finale, which was an 8-0 loss to the Mets. And it doesn't sound that important, except when you understand that it was actually a close game through 6 innings. It was 1-0 through 6 when the bullpen other relievers came in and helped blow it up. A's starter Luis Severino was facing his teammates from a year ago and gave them a reason to regret not signing him as a free agent last winter. He turned in a strong performance, 5 2/3 innings, only 1 run on 6 hits, but he was tagged with a loss because his offense was non-existent, and the final lopsided score was all on the bullpen. It was a 1-0 pitcher duel that turned into a laughter. Noah Murdoch, Jose Leclerc, and T.J. Alexander coughed up 7 runs over the final 3 innings. Alexander, in particular, was hit hard in the 8th and 9th, giving up 4 runs on a single, a pair of doubles, and a triple with a walk and an error mixed in. But before the ugliness, Severino was once again in veteran form. He showed that savvy stuff in the first inning when a walk and an error, another by rookie second baseman Max Muncy, put runners at first and second with no outs. Manager Kotze did address Muncy's defense. Muncy has made 4 errors so far this year, and said basically it's part of learning on the job. He is a natural shortstop, learning the position of second base. And he said, yes, young guys are going to make mistakes like that because they're trying to do too much. If he had done it all over again, he would have made the play at first base. It was a ground ball to him, runners at first and second, and he slipped as he was trying to make the throw to second base for the force. And at that point, he should have held on to the ball and thrown to first, but he threw to second and hit Lindor straight in the back for the error. And he's made a few of those, but Kotze seems to be determined to show his patience with him at second base. Says that he's a very talented player, and as we can see, his bat has been out there. He's shown his skills with the bat. It'll just take a little more time to figure out how to play second base at this level. So first and second and no outs, the thing could have gotten ugly with the Mets' best hitter up, Pete Alonso. But Sevy and Alonso battled it out over 10 pitches. Foul ball after foul ball. On the last pitch, he got Alonso to hit into a double play. Sebi kept the Mets off the scoreboard with another ground out to end the inning. It occurred to me in the bottom of the first inning when the A's had a chance to score that Brent Rooker is the wrong guy hitting second in that lineup. Maybe I'll be wrong when Rooker starts hitting home runs, but the A's needed just a ground ball to the right side after Lawrence Butler led off the inning with a double. But Rooker is not that guy to ask to do that. He struck out. And Butler had to stay at second when Tyler Soderstrom flied out. If the number 2 guy had advanced Butler to third, he would have scored on the fly ball. Little things add up, and you never know how a game continues on after that when you take a lead. So Severino struck out the side in the second inning, his slider breaking more than a foot, breaking the spirit of major league hitters. And then he got 2 more strikeouts in the fourth inning with a runner on second base. That's when he showed real emotion coming off the mound. I mean, Severino, was facing his old teammates, and he wanted to prove something, and he did. A cool moment came in the top of the sixth inning. Severino had 2 outs, but a runner was on third base. He had just gotten a double play to erase a kind of a mini threat building, but the runner on second went to third on that double play. He had just reached 101 pitches, and Kotze made a mound visit, but it wasn't to take him out. He wanted to know if Severino had it in him to close out the inning. Kotze left him in, a show of confidence, but on his 103rd pitch, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball away, the Mets catcher Luis Torrens lined a single to right to drive in that 2-out run for a 1-0 lead, and then that was it for Severino. Severino could have begged out, and maybe a reliever would have gotten the out to keep the game scoreless, but Severino wanted the accountability, and he still was going strong. He just left that pitch up, and he was pitching to a hitter who really, during this series, has been hot. He was definitely had a swing going, so you had to really tip your hat to the guy at bat. But that base hit by Torrens meant that Severino would get the loss if the A's couldn't score, and they didn't. The A's couldn't get much going at all against the Mets' Kodai Senga, the owner of what they call the ghost forkball, a pitch that seemingly disappears on the way to the plate. It's like a splitter, but it's the old-fashioned forkball where you split your 2 fingers, your forefinger and your middle finger, wide, and it has just a tremendous drop. It's the pitch that Roy Face was known for back in the 50s and 60s, if you remember him. He was called a forkball specialist. The A's made it easy on Senga, getting only 79 pitches out of him in 7 innings. Senga, who missed all but 1 game last year with injury, is limited to his pitch count, so he had to leave after those 7 innings and 79 pitches. Only Lawrence Butler figured him out with 3 hits and a long drive caught in deep center field. Seth Brown also gave a ride to the wall in right center when it was still a 0-0 tie, but Juan Soto caught it on the run on the warning track. If it had dropped, Miguel Andujar would have scored, and it would have been a tie game. Or at least maybe at that point it would have been a 1-0 lead for the A's. Where was that glorious Sacramento bandbox for the A's on that one? The A's seemed to be penalized this weekend on a reversal of the wind patterns in Sacramento this weekend. If only they had the winds going from that first homestand. But then again, it can go both ways. So I think the A's team as a whole probably will do better when the wind patterns are like they were this weekend than the first homestand. Senga naturally was the guy to put a halt to Jacob Wilson's 15-game hitting streak. And don't overlook how important that is, though, for a rookie to come out strong like that at the start of the year. That should give him confidence the rest of the way. He's hitting .344 now. Wilson did have a circus catch in the top of the 5th with a runner on. Juan Soto hit a 115-mile-an-hour bullet. It was ticketed for left center. But Wilson timed his leap and got his glove on the liner with a backhanded stab. It tipped straight up, and he had the wherewithal to catch it on the way down with his back to the plate. It's hard to describe. You have to see it. Go check it out on Google. Other than that, though, there was nothing much to see as the A's lost their 7th of 9 games at home. Going back to Friday, it was a loss, a 7-6 loss, but the A's had fallen behind 6-1 and made a really nice comeback attempt, worth looking over here. J.P. Sears was the starting pitcher. He went 4+ innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 6 hits, struck out 7, only 1 walk, but had to go after 101 pitches. And his performance was not as bad as the line shows. It was a 2-1 game through 4. The Mets had the lead. Sears had pitched around a no-out first and second situation in the third on another error and a hit by pitch, stranding them. And again, he stranded a runner at second base with 2 outs by getting Francisco Lindor on a weak grounder to him in the 4th inning. But by the 5th inning, he had already built his pitch count to 86. And then the 2 hitters that he faced in the top of the 5th put him over the top. First, Juan Soto outlasted him in an 8-pitch battle. Sears got ahead of him 0-2. He had struck him out in the 1st inning and got him to ground weakly to first that Soderstrom booted for an error, but still had 2 at-bats against Soto where his sweeper just had Soto completely perplexed. Got him way off balance with his sweeping slider in this at-bat when it was 0-2, but he couldn't get him to chase, and he wound up falling behind 3-2. Soto fouled off one payoff pitch, and then you could see him nod to himself, like he does so often when he really telegraphs that to the world and to the pitcher that he has the timing down. And sure enough, he lined a single to center field on the next sweeper. I was thinking, okay, JP, maybe not try to mix it up at this point. Give him a fastball, just get him off that sweeper. But he had so much success on it, he wanted to try it again. But unfortunately, Soto got the base hit. Still, Sears jumped ahead of Pete Alonso, the next hitter, 0-2. But Alonso and a lot of these Mets did so much battling this weekend, building up the pitch counts. As I said, against it was Severino. Alonso had a 10-pitch at bat, and in this one he fouled off 2 2-strike pitches, and then he won the battle with a double to left field to score Soto, and that was the end of the night for Sears. And the Mets appeared to break it open when the former A's outfielder Starling Marte added a 2-run double to cap that 3-run rally that was built by 2 walks, an error, and a sacrifice fly off of Mitch Spence. So that made it 6-1. So it was when Sears left, it was 3-1, but then the next inning, Mitch Spence came in relief and gave up 3 more runs. They were all unearned because of an error. But the A's were down 6-1. But they showed fight, scoring 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning, right away, bouncing back, no shutdown inning. A Shea Langoliers leadoff double, an RBI single by Jacob Wilson, and then Miguel Andujar lined the shot over the left field fence for a 2-run home run, his first of the year. Remember, he hit 27 home runs in his rookie year with the Yankees, so the A's are hoping for some power from him. And they could have had more. After Andujar's home run and with 2 outs, they loaded the bases when Max Muncy hit a double again to the wall in left field. And then Lawrence Butler and Brent Rooker drew walks. But Soderstrom hit a 109-mile-an-hour bullet, but right at right fielder Juan Soto to end the threat. And then the Mets picked up what would be a very important insurance run on a Pete Alonso home run off of Jose Leclerc. Leclerc had retired all 5 hitters in the 7th and 8th innings, showing why the A's like him as their setup man. And he got ahead of Alonso 0-2. But Alonso was locked in early this season, and he pushed it to a full count. And then Leclerc busted 95 on his hands, which Alonso fouled back. But instead of staying with a heat, Leclerc sped up Alonso's bat on the next pitch with just a flat 90-mile-an-hour cutter that didn't cut, and Alonso muscled it up for a home run in that 7-4 lead. If not for that home run, I don't know, who knows? Maybe the A's don't rally for 3 after that, but you never know, or 2 actually. And yes, so they had a 9th inning rally. The A's showing resilience and an awareness of what they need to be competitive in the bottom of the 9th inning of Friday's game. Butler drew a walk, and after Rooker struck out, Soderstrom drew another walk. They needed base runners and got them. Then Langoliers hit a double down the line for 1 run. And with runners at second and third, J.J. Bleday hit another bullet that would have tied the game if it had found grass, but it went straight to the left fielder, and the A's had to settle for a sacrifice fly ball to pull within 1 at 7-6. So they had 2 outs, still had the tying run at second base with Jacob Wilson, who'd entered the game second in the major leagues in hitting, but Wilson grounded out to second base, and that was that. Each of their rallies could have been bigger if bullets off the bats of Muncy, Soderstrom, and J.J. Bleday, who hit 2 of them, had just found a little seam in the defense. And if one pitcher or another had put the Mets away before they gave up the big hits, mostly to Alonso. So that's the wrap of the games of this weekend. As I said, competitive mostly, something to look forward to, but ultimately you leave with a loss and you're playing at a AAA ballpark and it can't feel that great. One note, big lefty Angel Perdomo was designated for assignment to make room for Ginn. If another team doesn't pick him up on the waiver wire, I haven't seen that they have, he could accept an assignment to AAA Nashville, or he could choose to be a free agent. I hope he stays with the A's. I do think that he would be a good addition. I wonder, though, if he's a real big guy, 6'8", 265 pounds, and I saw the way he covered first base in a recent game, and he just had a real difficult time getting over there. He's a big, lumbering, non-athletic kind of guy, and you have to wonder if that's the thing that kind of raised alarm bells with them and made the difference in their choice in designated him for assignment. Okay, coming up, the A's have the day off for travel today. In fact, they may have arrived in Chicago by now, and they start a 6-game road trip with a 3-game set against the Chicago White Sox before closing it out with 3 against the National League Milwaukee Brewers. This should be an opportunity for the A's. First, it'll be nice for them to get back to a big league stadium, right? But also, they should get healthy against a White Sox team that is not only 4-11 this year, but still trailing remnants of a 121 lost season a year ago. This year, the White Sox may not be that bad, but they've already gone through an 8-game losing streak. They know how to lose. The White Sox hitters are hitting .201 as a team. Pitchers are doing their part with a 3.55 team ERA. One thing to watch, though, with them is their wildness. They have 60 walks in 15 games and 12 hit batters in 129 innings. What's up with that? I mean, walks is one thing, but that is a lot of hit batters. They did just take 2 of 3 from the Boston Red Sox at home this weekend and are 4-5 overall at home. So the A's will have to try to get them where they feel comfortable. But the A's have played better on the road themselves. They've won 4 of 7 away. So here's the lineup of pitching matchups. On Tuesday, with a 4:40 Pacific time start, it'll be lefty Jeffrey Springs going against 25-year-old righty Sean Burke, a third-round draft pick out of Maryland in 2021. Burke's had a rough start. He's gone 1-2 with a 6.08 ERA in 13 1/3 innings. Wednesday evening, Osvaldo Bido goes against tall righty Jonathan Cannon, a third-round draft pick in the 2022 draft out of the University of Georgia. He's given up 9 hits, including 3 home runs. He's walked 14 and given up 9 earned runs in 14 innings. I said he's tall. He's 6'6". So, yeah, that qualifies. And in the finale on Thursday, an 11 a.m. Pacific time start, J.P. Sears goes up against journeyman right-hander Davis Martin. He's a 28-year-old who was a 14th-round draft pick in 2018 out of Texas Tech University. Martin has had 2 nice outings out of 3 this year, allowing no earned runs in 6 innings against the Angels late last month, March 31st, and 1 run over 6 innings against the Red Sox Friday. Overall, he has a 4.24 ERA in 17 innings. And finally, here's who to watch for improvement in Chicago. Brent Rooker needs to get it going. He's got a 188 batting average with 4 home runs, 8 RBIs. Hasn't homered in quite a while. 20 strikeouts and 69 at-bats. J.J. Bleday, he's hitting only .208 with 1 homer and 6 ribbies. Gio Urshela, 179 with no homers and 4 ribbies, though he did light it up a little bit at the homestand with a couple of nice doubles. And Max Muncy overall is hitting just 180 with 1 homer and 4 ribbies. He struck out 15 times in 50 at-bats. But also, as I mentioned, he has a team-high 4 errors in 14 games. Those are things to look out for, and I hope you enjoyed this one. That's all I have for today. Thank you for tuning into Sacramento's Curveballs and Changeups with me, your host, Steve Harmon. You can find Sacramento's best baseball podcast on Apple Tunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when my next podcast is up. Until next time, lay off the slider low and away.